The whole world knew how much Leon Hawthorne loved Serena Clearwater. When they first met, she sued him for plagiarism. In response, he produced a notarized document in open court, declaring he would give his entire fortune to her as compensation. Yet this same devoted man brought another woman into their home, turning their bed into a stage for his fiery passion. Leon's repeated deceptions and the other woman's constant provocations left Serena utterly heartbroken. But when she finally vanished, leaving her old life behind, Leon Hawthorne became a madman in chains. "I've made up my mind. I'm leaving on the 1st of next month." Roxy Rockwell asked, "Are you sure? There must be 100 women lining up to take your place as Mrs. Hawthorne." Serena swallowed a mouthful of cold tea. "I can't forgive him for what he's done." The 1st of the month was just over 20 days away. Soon, this torment would be over. Amidst the soft patter of rain, footsteps sounded on the stone path outside. "Mrs. Hawthorne, Mr. Hawthorne has sent a 5-star culinary team. They're here to prepare your meals personally." The butler, Mr. Peters, stood respectfully before her, followed by a retinue of more than 10 people. It was true, Leon was always meticulous with the details. No matter how busy he was, he never forgot her. Once, Serena had been the ice queen of Kingston Academy of Fine Arts, the most unattainable beauty on campus. Leon, a major shareholder in a company partnering with the university, had fallen for her at first sight. He showered her with money and investment opportunities, all of which she politely declined. She wouldn't even grant him the courtesy of a single meal. Eventually, Leon changed his tactics. He hired the best designer in Kingston City to plagiarize her artwork, creating a line of several hundred cheongsams. The brand became an international sensation. Naturally, Serena sued him. But in court, he confessed his love, gifting the entire brand to her on the spot, calling the whole court to witness his sincerity. The video of his declaration went viral. Overwhelmed, Serena finally relented and agreed to his courtship. Though she was naturally reserved, she couldn't help but fall for Leon's passionate, all-consuming love. To reciprocate, she put her career on hold at its peak and began trying to conceive, wanting to give him the ultimate symbol of their love. A child. But how could this man, who loved her so deeply and whom she loved in return, possibly cheat on her? Serena would never forget the soul-crushing despair she felt upon discovering a pair of unfamiliar lace panties under her pillow, and a clump of curly hair that wasn't hers wedged in the seam of the mattress. The hillside manor was Leon's wedding gift to her. He had designed and built it himself, even winning a prestigious award for it. The cornerstone was engraved with her name, Serena Clearwater. Yet he had brought another woman here, to be intimate within their bed. Serena had cried for nights on end, sleepless and unable to understand. She'd nearly had a breakdown, teetering on the edge of depression. Finally, she drew up the divorce papers. Each word felt like a knife carving into her own heart. As she signed her name, she could almost hear Leon's voice from the courtroom confession. "Plaintiff, I am willing to compensate you with my entire fortune and my very life. Will you marry me?" A shame he didn't keep his promise. Just then, the aroma of food wafted in, and the butler's voice sounded from the doorway. "Mr. Hawthorne, you're back just in time to dine with Mrs. Hawthorne." Hearing this, Serena quickly stuffed the divorce papers into an envelope and hid it under a lamp. But Leon was too fast, crossing the room in a few long strides. "What are you doing, hiding in the dark like that?" He cupped her face with one hand and switched on the lamp with the other. As he did, a corner of the envelope peeked out. A flicker of understanding crossed Leon's face as he picked it up. "Oh, who are you writing to? Caught you red-handed, have I?" But Serena reached out and snatched the letter back. "Have you forgotten? We write a letter to each other at the end of every year to reflect on things." It had been her idea. She'd said that even married couples needed to review their relationship to keep the love fresh and enduring. Leon's gaze softened. He cradled her face and pressed a tender kiss to her lips. "Darling, it completely slipped my mind. I've been so busy. I'll write it for you tonight, a full 100,000-word review. How does that sound?" Serena forced a weak smile. "Fine. Then I'll mail this one to you on New Year's Eve." Her divorce papers would be his New Year's gift. Seeing that she didn't seem angry, Leon looked forward to it. "Good. I can't wait to see what my beauty has to say about her husband." He pulled her into a deep embrace. as if trying to merge her into his very bones, just as he always did. His every word and action screamed that he still loved her deeply. But the heavy perfume clinging to him was a mocking testament to her naivety. The white tea fragrance was familiar. She couldn't mistake it. So, it was her. Serena had never once suspected her. She never thought Leon would stoop so low as to sleep with someone from his own circle, a snake in the grass. The double betrayal felt like having her heart ripped to shreds and then doused in salt, a searing, blood-drawing pain. It was all right. In just over 20 days, Leon wouldn't have to act anymore, and she would be free from this pitiful and laughable role. Leon truly stayed up all night writing that review, a sprawling 100,000-word letter that left his eyes ringed with dark circles like a panda's. Serena gently touched his face. "Leon, your love is so intense. Could you ever share it with someone else?" Leon's pupils trembled slightly. "Why would you ask that?" "No reason, just a random thought." She stared directly into his eyes. Leon looked away, unable to meet her gaze. He always carried the scent of another woman. The lilt in his voice now echoed that woman's tone. He didn't even notice the lipstick smudge on his collar. Serena could vividly imagine the two of them kissing, and she was sure he enjoyed it immensely. Noticing her subdued mood, Leon immediately made a call. "Cancel all of my meetings and contract signings for today." She could hear his assistant, Miles, struggling on the other end. "But, sir, we have the signing for that deal we've been working on for 6 months. I'm afraid Mr. Hawthorne SR will." Leon's brow furrowed. "Anything concerning Mrs. Hawthorne gets an unconditional green light from my parents. Just tell them I'm going with her to gather inspiration for her art." He wasn't lying. Leon's parents, Arthur and Alina, treasured Serena. Leon had once been a spoiled playboy, embroiled in scandals with several actresses. Only Serena, the unattainable beauty, had managed to tame him. After meeting her, he began to settle down, focus on his career, and think about marriage and family. From then on, Serena's word carried the same weight as Arthur Hawthorne's. "I'll cancel everything right away." Miles hung up without another word and went to handle it. Leon wrapped his arms around Serena from behind, burying his face in her hair. "See, as Mrs. Hawthorne, you hold more power in this family than I do. Today, my only job is to accompany you. I won't go anywhere else, all right?" Serena had no desire to play along with his act, but Leon had already grabbed his easel and gone outside to scout a spot for her, leaving no room for refusal. Just then, the old butler, Mr. Peters, hurried over. "Wait, Mrs. Hawthorne, please take this ginger and date tea." Serena took it with a small smile. "Thank you." But Mr. Peters was staring at her wrist. "Oh, why aren't you wearing the $8 million jade bracelet? Are you afraid of damaging it?" "What bracelet?" Serena asked, confused. The old butler, prone to gossip, launched into an explanation. "Mr. Hawthorne won it at an auction yesterday. He said a beautiful jade for a beautiful lady, it's all over the news. You are truly living a blessed life." It was only then she remembered she was supposed to have received a surprise yesterday. On a whim, she opened her social media feed and navigated to the profile of her student, Jasmine Monroe. Jasmine had indeed posted a picture yesterday. A translucent jade bracelet adorned her wrist, with the caption, "A timeless jade for our flawless love." The post was flooded with likes and comments from Serena's other students. "How much did that cost? Your man must be even richer than Mrs. Hawthorne's husband," Jasmine had replied. "He's probably on par with Leon Hawthorne in terms of wealth. He even looks a bit like him and works in the same industry, investment. Hee, wow, you married well, I should get our professor to introduce me to someone too." Jasmine's reply, "You should ask Leon Hawthorne to introduce you. If it's inconvenient for you, I can talk to him." Reading this, Serena's breath grew ragged and her body began to tremble. Jasmine was Serena's student. Once, when Leon came to pick Serena up after class, he saw Jasmine throwing herself into the arms of a middle-aged man and getting into a luxury car worth hundreds of thousands. Back then, Jasmine had brazenly invited Serena for a ride, eager to show off. But Leon had simply unlocked a multi-million-dollar supercar parked nearby, held the door open for Serena, and left Jasmine wishing the ground would swallow her whole. The moment they were in the car, Leon had scoffed. "Is that student afraid people won't know she's latched onto some rich old sugar daddy?" Serena had smiled faintly. To each their own. Don't let it bother you. But now, Leon had become the very person he once despised, sleeping with Jasmine for a cheap thrill. The white tea perfume, the lace panties, the clumps of curly hair in their marital bed, they all belonged to Jasmine. Serena closed her eyes, forcing herself to shut out the filthy images. After all, she only had to endure for another 20-odd days, but Leon's voice broke through her thoughts. "Darling, why aren't you coming? It's so beautiful out here." He kept calling for her, so she had no choice but to go see. The mountain air was fresh after the rain, and a sea of clouds drifted through the mist. "Yes, it's very beautiful," Serena said, her lips twitching into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Suddenly, Leon dropped to one knee and opened a velvet box. Inside was an exquisite jade bracelet, nearly identical to the one Jasmine wore. They must have been carved from the same piece of stone. But Serena's artist's eye was sharp. She immediately spotted the tiny star-like cracks within the jade. So this is the one Jasmine rejected. Leon offered his flawless love to Jasmine, while the marriage with its irreparable cracks was left to Serena. "Serena, I was so focused on writing your review last night that I forgot about your surprise. Please don't be upset. Let me put it on for you, okay?" Leon's smile was pleading. He had even brought a plastic glove, intending to slide the bracelet onto her wrist with the utmost care, terrified of hurting her. But a wave of disgust washed over Serena. She jerked her hand back, and the jade bracelet nearly tumbled off the cliff. Leon caught it just in time, breaking into a cold sweat. "Baby, what's wrong? Don't you like it?" Serena gave a pale smile. "No, it's worth $1 million. Of course I like it." Jasmine's bracelet was worth $8 million. This one was only worth $1 million. Leon's gaze flickered. He knew he'd been caught. "Serena, you know?" Serena let out a cold laugh. "It's all over the internet. Everyone's saying you bought 2 bracelets. How could I not know?" Leon froze, then quickly grabbed her icy hand. He tucked it inside his coat to warm it. "Serena, I donated the other bracelet to a charity to help children in rural areas get back to school. If you don't like this one, I'll buy you a better one. Please don't be angry." He stammered in his panic, as if her anger was a death sentence. The charity was an innocent party, forced to take the fall for his infidelity. He had no idea that Jasmine's social media post had already betrayed him. She had blocked him, and now the whole world knew he was wearing the Emperor's new clothes, except for him. Suddenly, Leon's phone rang. "Serena, just a moment." He walked over to a grove of trees to take the call. As he spoke, a smile unconsciously spread across his face. He looked like a teenager in the throes of first love, scuffing the branches at his feet. Serena was an artist. She could analyze a person's mood from their expression and read their lips to know what they were saying. "Cloudcrest Hotel, room 302. Whip." A tear welled in her eye as she sighed. A pain like 1,000 needles pierced her heart. What had she ever done to deserve this? Leon was still on the phone. He shook his head sternly, scolded the person on the other end, and hung up. As usual, he came running back to her, all attentiveness and charm. "Darling, you're in for a treat tonight. I'm going to make you authentic French desserts. I just got a call. The embassy invited me to a culinary workshop, so I won't be able to stay with you." Serena couldn't hear the rest of his words. They were all lies. His heart had already flown elsewhere, so how could she possibly keep him? She simply watched his performance calmly, then smiled and saw him off. Once his car was out of sight, Serena got into her own and set the navigation for the Cloudcrest Hotel in the city center. Jasmine's car, a BMW bought for her by a rich heir she'd once dated, was parked in a conspicuous spot outside. Serena knew what kind of person Jasmine was. Leon knew, too. But even so, he couldn't resist her advances. "Men, they all think with their dicks. Room 302. Serena found the window easily. She looked up. A man was pressing a woman against the floor-to-ceiling window, kissing her ferociously. The violence in his movements, the ecstasy on his face, it was a side of Leon she had never seen. When they were intimate, Leon was always so careful, so reverent, terrified of hurting her. But now, he roughly flipped Jasmine over, pressing her head against the glass as he started to pull the clothes from her shoulders. They kissed with wild abandon, deliberately leaving the curtains open to heighten the thrill of their illicit affair. As Jasmine reveled in her mix of pain and pleasure, she glanced down and her eyes met Serena's. She looked down on Serena with pride, a victor flaunting her triumph over a defeated rival. Leon's movements grew more intense. He dragged Jasmine back to the bed and, with a flick of his wrist, pulled the curtains shut. In that moment, tears streamed down Serena's face. She hated herself. Why was she standing on a public street, crying without an ounce of dignity for a man who wasn't worth it? "Hey, Mrs. Hawthorne, why are you crying?" A cleaning lady from the Hawthorne group passed by and recognized her. She wiped her tears away. "It's nothing, just the wind in my eyes." The cleaning lady's hands were covered in chilblains, but her gaze was fixed on Serena's wrist. "I knew it. How could you ever be unhappy? That bracelet is worth $1 million. It's beautiful. Mr. Hawthorne really pampers you." The cleaning lady's eyes were full of envy. It was said she worked 3 jobs to pay for her son's and granddaughter's congenital heart disease treatments. Serena took off the bracelet and placed it in the woman's hand. "Then it's yours. It's not worth $8 million, but it should be enough for your family's medical bills." The woman's legs gave way, and tears streamed down her face. "Oh, no, I can't. Please take it back. I'm not worthy." But Serena didn't look back. She got into her car. She locked the doors, and the next second she collapsed onto the steering wheel, sobbing uncontrollably. Worthy or not, she wasn't worthy of the $8 million bracelet either. She cried until her limbs were numb and her breathing was ragged, feeling as if she'd lost a part of herself. She looked at the immigration office across from the hotel and, with a final surge of strength, called her best friend Roxy. "Hey, I'm right outside the immigration hall. Come help me with the paperwork." How ironic. As she was downstairs processing her departure, Leon was upstairs making love to someone else. While she was in the middle of her application, Leon called. "I see your car. What are you doing at the Public Security Bureau?" Suddenly, the hall's PA system blared. "Serena Clearwater, please proceed to counter 1 for your exit procedures. You're going abroad." "Darling, where are you thinking of going?" Leon asked, his voice tight with anxiety. But Serena remained calm. "Oh, Roxy is handling her immigration paperwork. I'm just here with her." Leon seemed to relax. "You scared me. I'm still learning how to make those French desserts. I'll make them for you tonight, darling." Serena had just managed when she heard a kittenish female voice from Leon's end of the line. Leon let out an involuntary grunt, then quickly covered it up. "Serena, I'm a bit busy. I'll talk to you tonight." The line went dead, leaving Serena frozen in place. By the time she finished her visa application and walked out of the hall, her heart felt like a bird about to be freed from its cage. As she was driving back to the Hillside Manor, a call came from Eleanor Hawthorne. "Serena, dear, come back for dinner. Tell that boy Leon to come home too. Mother misses you both." The old matriarch genuinely doted on Serena, so she couldn't refuse. The moment she stepped through the door, the table was laden with all sorts of nourishing tonics and delicacies. Eleanor bustled out of a room holding a large red envelope. "Here, some spending money. Go buy yourself something nice." Every time Serena came home, Mrs. Hawthorne SR would give her a red envelope, always containing checks for hundreds of thousands of dollars. To the Hawthornes, it was indeed pocket change. "Mother, you don't have to. I still have plenty." Just then, Leon walked in. A maid helped him with his coat as he smiled and changed his shoes. "How come I don't get any money, Mom? You only give me a meager salary. You're playing favorites." Arthur Hawthorne emerged. "A man with money only gets into trouble. I wouldn't dare give you any." The family was as warm and cheerful as ever, making the scene feel surreal to Serena. It wasn't until Leon approached, the scent of white tea wafting from him, that reality crashed back down. On his fair neck were several glaringly obvious hickeys and faint scratch marks. Serena snapped back to her senses. These were Jasmine's declarations of war. Swallowing the bitterness in her heart, Serena ignored Leon and sat with his mother. But when Leon saw her bare wrist, his expression changed dramatically. "Serena, why aren't you wearing the bracelet? You still don't like it." His face was filled with regret. "It's all my fault. Serena cut him off with a cold smile. "It's fine. Didn't you donate your other bracelet to charity?" "So did I. The only difference was, his charity was a lie. Hers was real." Leon sucked in a sharp breath, seeming to realize something. "Serena, are you mad at me? What's been wrong with you lately?" Serena didn't want to argue with him in front of his parents, but her hand gripping her phone couldn't stop trembling. In truth, just before he had walked in, Jasmine had sent Serena a picture. It was her slender wrist, adorned with the bracelet, intertwined with a man's hand, pressed against a bedsheet. On the white sheet lay a leather whip, a pair of handcuffs, and a box of emergency contraception. Anyone could see they had just been in the throes of passion. Jasmine's provocations were becoming more and more brazen. "Oops, sorry, Professor Clearwater, I sent that to the wrong person. I can't unsend it now. How embarrassing." His mother had seen the message over her shoulder. Students these days are so shameless. "Serena, you have to keep people like that away from Leon." Serena lowered her gaze, forcefully suppressing her emotions as she tried to soothe her mother-in-law. "Mother, I don't need to say anything to Leon about it anymore." At the time, Eleanor had beamed. "Of course not, that rascal's heart has no room for anyone but you." Suddenly, a wave of nausea washed over Serena. She gagged. Again and again, she dry heaved. The entire table of food suddenly seemed repulsive. Eleanor and Arthur exchanged a look. "Oh my, could our darling girl be pregnant?" At this, Leon's eyes lit up like stars. "Really? Serena, you did miss your period this month." Leon always kept track of her cycle. It was that important to him. He would prepare heat packs and sweet red date soup in advance, and every night, he would come home to warm her cold feet. He never missed a single time. He was so attentive that Serena herself had lost track of the days, leaving her completely blindsided. This child couldn't have come at a worse time. "Serena, I've waited for this child for so long." Leon sobbed as he held her, his voice choked with emotion. Serena never imagined this child would make him so happy. She had been preparing for this child for so long herself. As a mother, her love for her child was absolute. But the hickeys on Leon's neck were too vivid, a constant, piercing pain in her eyes. She had to get an abortion. She couldn't let her child suffer in a family built on lies. But if Leon found out, he would never allow it. She had to wait for the right moment. For the next few days, Leon stayed home, dedicating himself to caring for her. He baked the desserts he hadn't had time to make before. He even insisted on making her milk tea from scratch using directly sourced milk. She was like a princess, protected by her knight, as if the betrayal had never happened. Until one day, Leon couldn't resist and stepped outside for a smoke. Serena heard a notification chime from his laptop. She tiptoed over and peeked at the chat pop-up. It was a picture of Jasmine in lingerie, nearly naked, draped in sheer gauze with tassels hanging over her private parts. The image was so vulgar it made Serena's eyes burn and her heart race with anger. But then, Leon's reply popped up. "Baby, I miss you like crazy, but Serena just found out she's pregnant, and I think the hormones are making her a little down. I'll come spoil you later, okay?" Jasmine didn't reply for a long time. Finally, a new message appeared. "Oh, wife's more important. You go be with your wife, followed by another. I'm not locking my door tonight. Anyone can come in." Leon replied instantly, "Don't, baby. I'll get jealous." But no matter how much he pleaded, Jasmine didn't respond again. Knowing Leon would be back soon, Serena shut the laptop. When Leon returned, the first thing he saw was the dark screen. He looked a little guilty. "Serena, why is my laptop off?" Serena leaned back against the bed. Wretch, I don't know, maybe it crashed." Her morning sickness had been particularly severe lately. The stomach acid burned her throat, she couldn't keep anything down, and she was miserable. Seeing her like this, Leon forgot all about the laptop. He quickly handed her a glass of sparkling water. "My poor darling, you're suffering so much, and I can't do anything to help. I'm so useless." Serena took a deep breath, suppressing the nausea, and gave a wry smile. "I'm fine. If the office needs you, you should go." Her words made Leon pause. He bit his lip, looking conflicted. "I'm sorry, but I do have something. There's a major 10-year contract at the company that I have to negotiate." "I understand. You should go," Serena said, pushing him towards the door. If he stayed a second longer, the disgust would make her vomit up her own intestines. Leon's mind was elsewhere. He didn't overthink it and obediently headed out. He didn't even realize he was so obviously heading in the direction of Jasmine's house. From her upstairs window, Serena saw it all with perfect clarity. Once he was gone, Serena finally had some peace. There were 17 days left until she and Roxy were set to leave. She had to schedule an abortion consultation as soon as possible. But just as she was about to head out, a car turned into the driveway of the Hillside Manor. It was Jasmine. Serena watched Jasmine come upstairs. That was a clever little trick, luring the tiger out of the mountains. Daring to make Leon go on a wild goose chase, there was truly nothing Jasmine wouldn't do. You flatter me. So, how's the pregnancy treating you? Is it tough? Serena scoffed. Not as tough as whoring yourself out. You, Serena Clearwater, don't you act so high and mighty. You still married a rich man and you can't even keep his heart. Serena knew she was just trying to provoke her. Goading the wife into a miscarriage would only benefit the mistress. But Serena simply pointed to the security camera above. Don't you know these things have facial recognition and can trigger a real-time alarm? Jasmine had calculated everything, but she hadn't counted on Leon installing a state-of-the-art, no blind spot smart security system to ensure the safety of Serena and their child. A shiver ran down Jasmine's spine. She was too shocked to speak. What she didn't expect was to hear the sound of Leon's engine roaring up the driveway so soon. Leon bounded up the stairs and stood before her, his voice a furious roar. Jasmine, what are you doing here? How could you be so malicious? I told you not to bother Serena. Jasmine's expression crumpled into one of grievance. I just came to see my professor. How am I bothering her? Fine, I'll just leave. Leon froze. In his anger, he had forgotten that it was perfectly normal for Serena's student to visit her. His furious reaction was a dead giveaway. He stood there, stunned, as Jasmine tearfully descended the stairs, leaving her purse behind. He felt a pang of guilt and took an involuntary step to follow her, but a glance at Serena's expression made him hesitate. He clenched his fists and approached Serena, his voice soft. Serena, I thought you never liked this morally corrupt student of yours. Why did she suddenly come to see you? Serena smiled. It's because she's morally corrupt that she came to see me. Leon flinched, sucking in a sharp breath. He didn't dare ask what she meant, afraid that one more word would expose him completely. Darling, I'm going to go out and get you some milk tea. The ones I make are healthy, but they're just not as good. Even as he said it, he knew how lame it sounded. His palms were slick with cold sweat. But Serena was incredibly understanding. Go ahead. Leon left as if granted a pardon, hastily pulling on his coat. Was the time it took to buy a cup of milk tea really enough for him to go and see Jasmine? Serena found that her anger was gradually fading. Perhaps truly letting go of someone happens in an instant. She made a call. Hello, Dr. Andrews. I need you to schedule an abortion for me. It was her private family hospital, absolutely confidential and reliable. She would find a time in the next few days to terminate the pregnancy. But shortly after scheduling the procedure, a video call from Leon came through. A flicker of fear shot through her had he discovered her plan. She answered the call, ready to spin a lie. But the scene that filled the screen was one of utter chaos. Pale, beautiful skin, discarded condom wrappers on the floor, and Jasmine's flushed face, every detail assaulted Serena's eyes. Jasmine was determined to provoke her into a miscarriage, even stealing Leon's phone to livestream their tryst. See this. Your husband felt so bad about how you treated me that he came right over to make me feel better. To appease me, he promised to open a Cheongsam brand for me, just like yours, only bigger and better. She could disregard everything else, but the lawsuit, the very foundation of Leon's pursuit of her, that was something she would remember even in her grave. It seemed that what Serena once believed was Leon's profound love was just another one of his tricks to pick up women. There is no moment more painful for a woman than discovering her sincere feelings were nothing but a fool's game. Serena's voice trembled as she spoke to Jasmine, her tone choked with emotion. Well then, congratulations on becoming the next me. Jasmine, reveling in her grand victory, completely missed the hidden meaning in Serena's words. Of course I beep, beep, beep. Serena hung up before she could finish, clutching the blanket and bursting into tears. If Jasmine hadn't reminded her, she would have almost forgotten she still had a Cheongsam shop. She called her manager. Miss Cheney, have all employees collect a full year's salary from finance. Then, find someone to burn all the Cheongsams. Burn them? But that's over $1 million worth of inventory, Miss Cheney's voice cracked. Yes. Don't let Mr. Hawthorne know. Have everyone sign a non-disclosure agreement. Burn them all. Don't leave a single one behind, Serena ordered, her voice cold and firm. The 30,000-square-foot factory held the blood, sweat, and tears of both her and Leon. But she was leaving. What was the point of keeping all that effort? It had long lost its soul. It would only rot and fester until the stench was unbearable. Hours later, when Leon returned carrying 2 cups of milk tea, his face was a mask of grief. "Serena, I saw your Cheongsam shop was on fire. What happened?" At that moment, Serena was staring at a top-secret business proposal Jasmine had sent her. The contents left her so shocked she turned pale. She closed the proposal file and said sarcastically, "Really? I guess its time was up." Leon was genuinely heartbroken. He even got upset with her. "Why are you acting like nothing happened? What proposal are you looking at? Don't you feel any pain for our brand? I guess between the 2 of us, I was always the one who cared more." She didn't answer. Cared? Pain? Why should she feel any of that? The existence of that proposal had already sealed their fate, and Leon was the one who started it all. Seeing the look on her face, Leon didn't dare ask any more questions. New Year's was only 7 days away. Under the guise of buying holiday supplies, Leon went to a hotel with Jasmine again. Jasmine even sent Serena pictures and detailed accounts of their tryst, down to the positions they used and how many condoms they went through. Meanwhile, Serena lay on a surgical table, her teeth chattering from the cold. She hugged herself tightly, feeling as if the child was clinging to her heart, unwilling to leave. By the time she returned, Leon was already home. He looked refreshed, as if he just had a vigorous session with Jasmine. Serena, however, said nothing and went straight to the bathroom. She had lost too much blood, soaking through the maternity pad. Suddenly, without knocking, Leon burst into the bathroom. "Darling, where have you been? Why are you bleeding so much? Did something happen to our baby?" But Serena didn't panic. She calmly pulled a medical report from her bag. Leon, sweating with anxiety, snatched it and read it. "Oh, you scared me to death, Serena. I thought something had happened to the baby. So it's just some light spotting." Leon patted his chest in relief. Serena gave a pained smile. "Yes, it was her family's private hospital. Forging a medical report was child's play. Leon would never know she'd had an abortion." For the next 7 days, Leon was by her side, attending to her every need, never once complaining of fatigue. Serena began to think she might not be able to leave after all. That was until Jasmine posted on her social media, "Ugh, this glass is so hard to clean." The accompanying picture showed her leaning halfway out of a window, looking dangerously precarious. She was cleaning windows in the dead of winter, yet she was wearing a sexy, low-cut bathrobe that exposed half of her chest. Sure enough, just a few minutes later, Leon, who had been preparing New Year's Eve dinner for Serena, rushed out. "We're out of salt. I'm going to run to the store. You be good and wait for me, okay?" Serena watched him go with a blank expression. "Goodbye, Leon." A shiver racked Leon's body, as if her coldness had seeped into his bones, but he still hurried to his car and sped down the mountain. The moment he was gone, Serena called Roxy. "You can come get me now." "All right. Pack your things and wait for me on your helipad." Roxy had already gotten the flight path approved. Serena looked around the luxurious hillside manor. "I don't really have anything to pack." "Oh, wait, there is one thing." She looked at the beautiful cornerstone that extended from the ground in the corner of the room. Leon had won many design awards and was always innovative. Even the cornerstone was a piece of natural crystal that stretched from beneath the ground into the house itself. It was engraved with her name, a symbol that this was the home he had given her. But now, Serena raised the gleaming longsword from his collection and brought it down with a swift, decisive strike, shattering the crystal cornerstone. Crack, his love disintegrated, becoming a pile of worthless shards on the floor. Serena tossed the sword aside with a clang. She picked up the 100,000-word review Leon had stayed up all night to write and threw it directly into the toilet. In its place, she put the divorce papers into the envelope. First thing tomorrow morning, it would be mailed to Jasmine's house. Standing on the roof waiting for Roxy, she took one last look at her phone. Amidst the festive atmosphere of family reunions, Jasmine's social media had updated again. A pair of man's hands were helping her clean the window, while her arms were wrapped tightly around his waist. Beneath the post, one of Serena's students had commented, "Wow, those hands look just like Professor Clearwater's handsome husband. Even the wedding ring is the same style. Happy New Year's Eve. Hope you and your boyfriend get your happy ending soon." Happy ending? Indeed. Jasmine had plucked Serena's happy ending, and Leon had handed it to her personally. Roxy's helicopter arrived. She sat in the cockpit and waved to Serena. "Get in." Serena gave a carefree smile, casually tossed her phone, and with a soft plop, it sank to the bottom of the artificial lake. "Leon, thank you for letting me experience love. It made me understand the value of freedom even more." She stepped onto the helicopter, which gradually ascended into the boundless sky. When Leon Hawthorne climbed out of Jasmine Monroe's bed, it was already New Year's Day. The sound of a courier knocking on Jasmine's door finally jolted him from his drunken stupor. "Oh God, I fell asleep last night. Serena's still waiting for me to celebrate the new year she's pregnant, and I left her to starve on New Year's Eve." He smacked his head several times, wondering how on earth he was going to explain this to Serena. How could he have slept so soundly? Had he lost all reason, passed out in Jasmine's tender embrace? Jasmine came back in, closing the door behind her and holding a letter. "Who's this? Who even writes letters anymore? So old-fashioned. The sender is blank." A sudden thought struck Jasmine, and she quickly hid the letter. Leon glanced at her, but didn't think much of it. He was frantically searching for his phone. He finally fished it out from the crack in Jasmine's side of the bed, but he didn't see the barrage of missed calls he'd expected. Serena hadn't called him even once. A stone dropped in his stomach. A powerful sense of foreboding washed over him. He hurriedly dialed her number, praying to hear her voice, anything to calm his racing heart. But all he heard was a cold, automated female voice. "The number you have dialed is not in service." He tried more than 10 times with the same result. Was something wrong with Serena's phone? Jasmine draped herself over him, kissing his chest. "Don't worry. Have some dumplings before you go back to find Sir." Panic seized Leon. He shoved her away. "No, Serena must be heartbroken. I really crossed the line this time." Without even grabbing his coat, Leon slipped on his slippers and prepared to drive back. But Jasmine wrapped her arms around him from behind, her hands roaming, trying to seduce him. "Don't go. You have to promise me that even if Professor Clearwater finds out about us, you won't ignore me." Leon was frantic, but his primal male instincts reacted to Jasmine's expert touch. He couldn't help but turn back, pressing her against the wall and kissing her fiercely, as if he wanted to devour her whole. After a long moment, he summoned all his willpower and tore himself away from her. "Baby, stop it. If Serena really finds out about us, I might not be able to contact you for a long time." Jasmine pouted. "Leon Hawthorne, you better not forget me. I'll be waiting for you." Before she could finish, Leon shot out of the door like an arrow from a bow. The streets were deserted on New Year's Day, and the mountain was even more desolate. On such a festive day, Serena was alone, pregnant, waiting on the mountain with nothing to eat. Leon felt like a real piece of scum. He swore he would get on his knees and beg for her forgiveness when he got back. However, when he returned to the hillside manor, the scene that greeted him left him utterly stunned. The crystal cornerstone was shattered into a million pieces. The inscription he had personally carved, "Clearwater of the Cloud Sea," was hacked beyond recognition. Serena was such a gentle person. She must have been absolutely furious to do something so drastic. What had she found out? Leon still couldn't believe she had discovered his affair with Jasmine. "Serena, Serena," he ran through every corner of the villa, but there was no trace of her. The hair tangled in her comb, her favorite skincare products, the New Year's Eve dinner he had left half prepared, they were all there, but they were all lifeless objects. His panic grew. He called his parents. "Mom, is Serena with you?" Both his parents leaned in to listen. "What? No, she's not. It's New Year's Day. How did you lose Serena? You brat, what were you doing last night?" Leon tore at his hair, pulling it out in clumps. His father, being a man, understood immediately and roared at him. "You bastard, you were up to some shameful business on New Year's Eve. How could you do this to Serena?" Leon knew he deserved to die, but Serena had run away. The priority was to find her. He hung up on his parents and called his father-in-law. He knew the chances of Serena going back to her family were slim. Her biological mother had passed away long ago, and her stepmother was indifferent to her. Serena's icy demeanor in her youth stemmed from a childhood devoid of love. He slapped himself across the face as he dialed his father-in-law's number. When the old man finally answered, Leon confessed his mistake immediately. "I'm sorry, Dad. I drank too much last night and didn't come home to spend the new year with Serena. Is she with you?" He expected a torrent of abuse, but the other end was quiet. She hasn't contacted me. Her mother and I are about to fly to the Bahamas for the holiday. We're taking off soon. Whatever it is, we can talk about it later. Beep, beep, beep. The line went dead. Leon collapsed to the floor, helpless. He sobbed at the dead phone. She's your own daughter, don't you even care? Are you even human? But he knew the person who most deserved to be cursed was himself. He had been given such a wonderful person in Serena. She had seen him as her only lifeline in a heartless world, and he had become the last straw that broke the camel's back. The grief was so overwhelming that Leon felt like he was going to be sick. He stumbled to the bathroom, wanting to vomit into the toilet. But inside, he found his 100,000-word review, his year-end summary letter, floating in the water. She hadn't even bothered to read it. She had just thrown it away. How much did she know? And what about the letter she had written to him? Leon clearly remembered her writing it. Where could she have put it? Fighting off a wave of nausea, Leon staggered through the house, rummaging through drawers and cabinets, searching for Serena's letter. He looked everywhere, but there was no sign of it. His phone kept ringing, irritating him to no end. Finally, he picked it up and saw it was a message from Jasmine. Of all times, how dare she contact him now? He frowned and impatiently tapped open the image she had sent. It was a familiar-looking envelope. Beneath it lay a set of divorce papers, spread open. The signature was Serena's. Leon Hawthorne's heart stopped for 2 full seconds. A crushing weight, like a 1,000-pound boulder, settled on his chest, making it impossible to breathe. Serena wanted to divorce him, and her divorce papers had been delivered, with chilling precision, to Jasmine's house on New Year's Day. Until now, Leon had been able to delude himself, pretending that Serena was just throwing a little tantrum, angry that he hadn't come home for the holiday and had run away to scare him. But this was a brutal wake-up call. Serena had known about his sordid affair with Jasmine all along. All the strange things about Serena's recent behavior flooded his mind like a tidal wave. Her giving away the bracelet, her recent insomnia, the way she would stare at the birds outside the window, her eyes sometimes welling up with tears for no reason. Every time Leon had rushed off to see Jasmine, Serena had never questioned him. She hadn't even seen through his pathetic excuses about buying milk tea or salt. But who was his wife? She was a renowned artist who had made a name for herself in the art world on her own merits. Serena had studied fine arts. Her greatest skill was dissecting the psychology behind a person's expression. How could he have been so arrogant as to think he could deceive her? He had been far too self-important. Jasmine's voice message came through. Leon, Serena actually left you. How could she abandon someone as wonderful as you? And she's pregnant to just run off with the baby like that. That's your child too. It's so irresponsible of her. Leon's blood boiled. What does our business have to do with you? Did you say something to Serena? How else could she have found out? I wouldn't dare you have so little trust in me. I swear on my life, I only love you. If I did anything to destroy your family, may I die a horrible death, may my body be torn to pieces. Is that enough for you? Jasmine started crying pitifully, swearing oaths over the phone. Her words sparked a flicker of compassion in Leon. I'm sorry, Jasmine, I was just too agitated. I took it out on you. It's all my fault. He spent a long time soothing her. Remembering that Jasmine's Cheongsam brand had been successfully registered, he personally arranged for a fashion designer to consult with her. Only then was Jasmine appeased. He couldn't fail both women. At the very least, he couldn't let Jasmine's time with him be for nothing. However, after hanging up, he suddenly remembered how dedicated Serena was to her career. She especially loved the Cheongsam brand he had created for her. She hadn't seemed upset about the factory fire that day, but perhaps that was because she was already thinking about rebuilding. Maybe she was at the factory now, inspecting the site, even with her pregnant belly. After all, she had nowhere else to go. Clinging to this sliver of hope, Leon drove nonstop to the Cheongsam factory. On the way, he planned to build her a new, massive 100,000-square-foot factory, even bigger than Jasmine's. But when he arrived, all he saw was a field of withered winter grass and the lingering, choking smell of smoke. Inside, he found that only the center of the factory was a pile of ashes. The walls, the furniture, even the clothes racks were all intact. The only things missing from the entire factory were the thousands of Cheongsams. He couldn't imagine any other possibility than them being burned to create that pile of ash. Who would deliberately burn all of Serena's hard work? Who? The world went dark around Leon. He braced himself against a nearby pillar. Serena, was it really you who had them burned? This was our most precious memory. How could you bear to do it? Leon couldn't bring himself to admit that the one who had truly destroyed their past and future was himself. If Serena hadn't discovered his affair with Jasmine, why would she have been willing to burn the thing she cherished most in the world? He had actually cheated on her with her most despicable student. That was what truly disgusted Serena. He remembered how he had step by step fallen into Jasmine's tender trap, making the biggest mistake of his life. At first, Leon had indeed looked down on Jasmine. A gold digger, what was so great about that? But after he had pulled out his multi-million-dollar car keys to pick up Serena, Jasmine, instead of feeling ashamed, had managed to get his contact information. "Hello. Is this Mr. Hawthorne? I'm Professor Clearwater's student. She forgot something for her art exhibition and can't leave. She asked me to go to her house and get it for her. Are you home?" Leon Hawthorne had seen his fair share of women. Before Serena, he was Kingston City's most notorious playboy. He saw through Jasmine's little ploy in an instant. "The maid is home. You can get it from her." Jasmine sounded slightly disappointed. "Oh, okay." Leon was upstairs reading a magazine and chose not to see the woman who repulsed him. But to his surprise, the butler led her upstairs to find him. "Young master, Miss Monroe, Mrs. Hawthorne's student, says the item she needs to retrieve is too valuable and she must hand it over to you in person." Hearing this, Leon grew annoyed. "I said I'm not seeing any guests today. Are you all deaf?" But the old butler, Mr. Peters, acted as if he were truly deaf and even closed the door behind him. Leon was furious. He asked Jasmine impatiently, "What did you come to get?" "Never mind, I'll ask Serena." As he spoke, he started to dial Serena's number. But suddenly, Jasmine shrugged off her coat. Her pale skin was covered in a vast, lifelike tattoo of cherry blossoms, which left Leon stunned. "Mr. Hawthorne, I've come to get your loyalty." The entire foundation of Leon's world came crashing down. It was breathtakingly beautiful. The art alone was mesmerizing, not to mention Jasmine's model-like figure and her pitiful, delicate voice. But his phone had already connected, and Serena's voice came through. "What's wrong, Leon? I'm at the exhibition." Leon didn't reply. Jasmine had already settled into his lap like a piece of soft jade. "Leon?" Serena thought the signal was bad. The next second, Leon hung up the phone. Every time he thought back to that incident, Leon felt that no man could have passed that test. Jasmine had too many tricks up her sleeve. Each time, she could send shivers of excitement down his spine. But looking back now, he felt like a complete bastard. Serena was the love of his life, the one he had pursued with such great effort. She was completely different from the cheap, fast food thrill that was Jasmine. She wasn't fiery or wild. She was like a clear, cool spring. The first time he saw Serena, she was standing alone before an obscure traditional painting, a picture of solitary grace, as if she had become one with the artwork. A lone traveler on a windswept road, a scholar's lamp under a waning moon. She deserved all the beauty in the world. After that, Leon had poured money into her exhibitions, all for the chance to have a single meal with her. But Serena had seen plenty of rich men like him. She was not impressed and would not sell herself for money. That was why, after racking his brain, he had come up with the bizarre strategy of plagiarizing her work. No artist could tolerate having their life's work stolen. After Leon's Cheongsam factory gained fame, he finally received a summons from her. That day, Leon had someone set off fireworks outside Serena's house all night. He was ecstatic. On the day of the trial, he invited numerous media outlets and brought along his notarized statement of assets. He had it certified that his brand, his illegal profits, and all assets under his name would belong to Serena. Finally, from the plaintiff's stand, he saw a light in Serena's eyes, like the sun breaking through the clouds. He knew she didn't care about the money. She cared about the resolve of someone willing to give her everything. After that, she tentatively let him into her life. She sacrificed her work time, learned to be with him, learned how to love. She decided to reciprocate his love by giving him a child, a little person who looked like both of them. But Serena, who had belonged only to him, so pure and pristine as ice, how could she have been so betrayed by him? He stepped through the ashes of the cheongsams and walked, tears in his eyes, into Serena's office. He saw the folic acid pills still on her desk and the pregnancy tests in her drawer. He could almost see her, praying time and again, disappointed time and again, hoping for a child to come sooner. How could he have broken her heart like this? But thankfully, there was still one bond between them that had not been severed. As long as Serena was carrying his child, there was hope of winning her back. He would never give up on Serena. After all, if Serena lost him, she would have no one to rely on. He called his assistant, Miles. "Track Mrs. Hawthorne's phone number for me. Find out where she is." For the next few days, Leon waited anxiously for news of Serena. Jasmine called him. "Leon, you haven't eaten or drunk anything for days. Come to my place. I'll make you a rich chicken broth tonight with lots of goji berries. You need to replenish your strength. Even if Professor Clearwater doesn't come back, you can't let yourself collapse. It breaks my heart to see you like this." Leon rubbed his temples. Now, every time he went back to the hillside manor, he was greeted by a cold, shattered scene. Every time he went to his parents' house, he faced endless scolding for what he had done to Serena. He just needed a place to rest. He went to Jasmine's apartment. As she served him soup, she said, "Leon, I really don't think Professor Clearwater should be tormenting you like this on purpose. A capable man like you just needs to ensure her life of luxury. It's impossible for you to be tied to one woman for your whole life. If it were me, I'd be content as long as you came to see me from time to time." Leon gave a weary smile. He had to admit, a woman like Jasmine was less trouble. If Serena were half as understanding, he wouldn't be so exhausted. He squeezed Jasmine's hand and was about to pull her into his arms when his phone rang. "Mr. Hawthorne, we found Mrs. Hawthorne's phone. It's in the artificial lake." Leon shot to his feet, letting go of Jasmine. "What did you say? The artificial lake? What about her? Where is she?" His assistant faltered. "Sir, please calm down. We're still in the process of recovering it. We haven't found Mrs. Hawthorne's." He didn't dare say the word. "Also, recovering the phone's data will be very difficult." Jasmine, standing nearby, overheard. The soup bowl in her hand slipped, spilling hot soup all over Leon. Leon didn't care. He immediately rushed home. He needed to see for himself how Serena had found out about him and Jasmine. Once home, he immediately sought out data recovery experts and personally oversaw the process. His efforts paid off. In the early hours of the morning, they broke through the security. Leon eagerly opened the phone's data. Inside were numerous photos of Jasmine, and the explicit descriptions, the sarcastic comments seeing them, made Leon's eyes burn with fury. If Serena had seen these things, the pain would have been 1,000 times worse for her than it was for him. He then opened Jasmine's social media profile and discovered that all this filth had been hidden from him and him alone. Everyone else, including Serena's students, could see it. That $8 million bracelet Jasmine had flaunted, how heartbroken must Serena have been? At the time, Leon had thought that Serena had so many nice things, one bracelet wouldn't matter. He didn't know that the flawed bracelet had created a deep crack in Serena's heart as well. Then there were the earliest messages, chats between Serena and Roxy. Serena had found a pair of lace panties and a clump of caramel-colored curly hair in the crevices of their bed. Jasmine had absolutely done it on purpose. Leon was so angry he nearly blacked out. He could even imagine Serena sending those pictures to Roxy. A woman as proud as her must have felt completely humiliated. But why had she done it? It must have been because Serena felt truly trapped. She had to turn to Roxy for help to get away from him. Had he made her feel that helpless, that isolated? He was a dead man continuing through the chat history. He saw that Jasmine had even told Serena that he wanted to open a cheongsam factory for her too. That brand was the most beautiful thing in the world to Serena, and now it had been reduced to something that could be mass-produced. Leon couldn't understand what he had been thinking. How could he have been so confident that he was hiding everything from Serena perfectly? He hadn't realized that the biggest vulnerability in his life was Jasmine. He would not give up on Serena, and he would not let Jasmine get away with this. He called Jasmine and immediately unleashed his fury. "Didn't I warn you not to mess with Serena?" His icy tone left Jasmine speechless for a long moment. She finally stammered, "Leon, don't be angry. Professor Clearwater doesn't want you, but I do." We can be together every day from now on, no more hiding. Isn't that a good thing? Now, just hearing Jasmine's voice made Leon feel sick to his stomach. What did you say? You think you're worthy? A piece of trash like you, what makes you think you can compare to my Serena? Jasmine didn't get angry. Instead, she threw all dignity aside and began to sob. I know I'm not worthy. I'm just the other woman. But wasn't it all to be with you? It's bad enough that I have to endure being scorned by everyone, but now you're kicking me while I'm down too. How could you do this to me? She resorted to her usual string of coy and tearful tactics, the very ones that used to work on Leon every time. But now his Serena was gone, and it was as if he could suddenly see through Jasmine's facade. He didn't reply, he just hung up. He turned to his assistant. Go, demolish Jasmine's Cheongsam factory. Run it over with a bulldozer a dozen times. Destroy all the finished Cheongsams and delete all the design drafts. Jasmine's artwork was too similar to Serena's, almost identical. Leon had noticed it long ago. Unfortunately, when a man is ruled by his lust, his IQ drops to 0. The assistant hesitated. What? Do we really have to be so ruthless? Miss Monroe was with you for a while, after all. But Leon shot him a glare so murderous that the assistant's throat tightened and he didn't dare say another word. The maid and butler behind him exchanged glances, but no one dared to speak. Leon jumped in his car and drove to Jasmine's apartment himself to settle the score. As soon as he left, the butler quickly called the assistant. Call Miss Monroe right away. Tell her to hide, to put away anything she needs to. The maid sneered. It's fine, now we'll see what Miss Monroe is really made of. When Leon arrived at Jasmine's place, she was in the middle of throwing things out. She had a cart full of small items, all ready to be tossed in the dumpster. When she saw Leon, she looked as if she'd seen a ghost. She clearly hadn't expected him to be so fast. A 30-minute drive, and he had made it in 15. He was like a madman, storming into her home to demand an explanation. What are you throwing away? Let me see. Jasmine quickly tossed bags of trash into the dumpster. Nothing, it's nothing, just some household garbage. Leon's eyes were bloodshot. He looked manic after days without food or sleep. He lunged forward and slapped her across the face. Bitch, let me see what's in there. The corner of Jasmine's mouth started to bleed. You hit me? Leon, how could you do this to me? She tried desperately to distract him, to keep him from rummaging through the trash. However, Leon shoved her to the ground and kicked her several times until she was too weak to get up. Then he started digging through the dumpster. The putrid smell made him retch, and his expensive designer coat was stained with rotten food juices, but he didn't care. He frantically searched. Finally, he found it. A small black box. It looked strange. He summoned his courage and opened it. His head swam, and he nearly lost his balance. Inside was a piece of paper with Serena's birth details written on it, down to the date of her last menstrual period. There was also a talisman, a sinister-looking curse. He could make out a few words. Fetal demise. This, you were cursing Serena's baby? Are you insane, Jasmine? Leon completely broke down. That child. How long had he and Serena waited for it? Jasmine had cursed it, tried to cause a miscarriage. No legitimate spiritualist would perform such a wicked act. He could only imagine how much money Jasmine had paid for this. No wonder Serena had been bleeding during her pregnancy. The memory of her maternity pad, soaked in glaringly red blood, sent a chill down his spine. Leon turned to look at Jasmine, his jaw clenched so tight he looked ready to devour her. If anything happens to that baby, I'll make you pay with your life. No. Don't, Leon. I know I was wrong, but these things don't necessarily work. Jasmine was terrified. Unable to stand, she scooted backward on the ground. Don't hit me, I didn't cast the curse. It was just left here with me to be empowered. She didn't sound like she was lying, but at this point, Leon wouldn't believe a word she said. He swung his hand and delivered a hard slap across her face. Jasmine, you're asking for it. Thwack thwack, 2 more punches landed on her chest, heavy blows that knocked the wind out of her. She collapsed to the ground, her breathing like a broken bellows. After a flurry of punches and kicks, Leon seemed to feel a little better. He ripped the $8 million bracelet from Jasmine's wrist. She screamed in pain. Leon looked down at her coldly. You're not worthy of wearing this. This belongs to Serena. He stood up and took several pictures of her pathetic, battered state. A brilliant idea suddenly struck him. he immediately posted the photos to his social media with a caption. "This is what happens when you plagiarize my wife." As Serena Clearwater's student, she dared to steal her professor's artwork to create her own Cheongsam brand. "I have now demolished her factory and burned her designs as a warning to all." This post would surely go viral and be seen by Serena. To the public, it would look like he was punishing a plagiarist. But to Serena, it would be a clear sign that he was cutting ties with Jasmine. Serena was unique to him. He would never again give their special romance to anyone else. As he expected, the post quickly topped the trending charts. Netizens flocked to comment, "OMG, Mr. Hawthorne is so hot. A total wife protector, where can I find a man who's that rich, handsome, and devoted?" Seriously, I've seen a bunch of stores that were copying Serena Clearwater get taken down. No one dares to do it anymore. The overwhelmingly positive online sentiment satisfied Leon and even boosted the Hawthorne Group's stock price. When Jasmine saw the post from her hospital bed, she nearly exploded with rage. Her reputation in the art world was completely ruined. Numerous studios had terminated their contracts with her. And her dream, the Cheongsam factory that had once made her so envious of Serena, was now a pile of rubble. Jasmine had lost everything. Leon had calculated correctly that she wouldn't dare expose her identity as his mistress. But she had never cared much for her reputation. What was it worth, anyway? She made a call. "Leon Hawthorne has silenced me, so I can't speak out online, but you guys should have a way, right?" "No problem, miss. Monroe, we've already arranged for plenty of paparazzi and marketing accounts to fan the flames and get you your revenge." Jasmine laughed through her tears. "Good. I used to fantasize about becoming Mrs. Hawthorne. Now that dream is shattered, I'll listen to you. Let's bring Leon Hawthorne down together." That evening, public opinion took a dramatic turn. Paparazzi released explosive photos Leon and Jasmine at the Hillside Manor, with just enough blur to be suggestive. There were also shots of Leon's office with the blinds drawn, the silhouettes of two people leaning over a desk faintly visible. There were even pictures of Leon taking Jasmine to see the Cheongsam factory site, gesturing grandly as he planned her future. In the photos, Jasmine was wearing the very same priceless bracelet that was rumored to have been bought for Serena. The online comments instantly flipped. "WTF, so disgusting. Turns out it was a scumbag, and his mistress having a fallout. Seriously, why doesn't Leon Hawthorne just die? Men already have a bad rep, and now no one will believe we can be sincere." Where's Serena Clearwater? She's being awfully quiet, waiting for her response. In truth, Leon also hoped Serena would respond. He wouldn't even mind if she came out and crucified him. At least then, he could trace her IP address. Unfortunately, Serena seemed completely indifferent to the chaos. Roxy's family business was global, and they had no fixed residence. How was Leon supposed to find one woman in the entire world? It was like finding a needle in a haystack. But Leon wouldn't give up searching for her and their child. He would go to the ends of the earth if he had to. Sensing the tide of public opinion turning against them, Arthur Hawthorne immediately summoned Leon home. "You disgraceful son, get on your knees." Leon obediently knelt and slapped himself twice across the face. "Dad, hit me. I know I was wrong. I've damaged the group's reputation. The board is trying to impeach me today. I deserve all of it." Watching the online firestorm, Leon belatedly realized that Jasmine was not as simple as she appeared. There had to be someone else pulling the strings behind the scenes. How had he not seen it sooner? Had Serena known all along that he would fall into this trap? Had she tried to warn him multiple times, only for him to ignore her, clinging to a false sense of security? Arthur kicked him several feet across the room. "You animal, even if you're going to fool around, at least have the sense to pick your company. You're playing with fire." His mother, Eleanor, rushed to help him up, her heart aching as she brushed the dust off his clothes. The most important thing now is to find Serena and get her to come back. She needs to go online and say she forgives you, that it was all a misunderstanding. No matter how angry she is, she's still pregnant. She can't stay away this long out of spite. Leon has been devoted enough to her, so what if he had a little fling on the side? Leon cried out, "Mom, please stop. It's all my fault. What did Serena do wrong?" Arthur suddenly threw a piece of paper at his face. "You and your mother are both idiots. Look at this. Do you think this is the time for romantic drama?" Leon took the paper. It took him a moment to blink back his tears and understand what he was reading. Jasmine signed a contract with Director Fenton. How could she be in league with someone from the group? Arthur sighed heavily. Director Fenton has been eyeing my position for a long time. I thought Serena could keep you in line and protect the empire I worked so hard to build. But in the end, she was useless too. Useless? So, the woman Leon treasured more than anything was just a tool for them to control him. He stood up and turned to leave the Hawthorne estate. Where are you going? Get back here and figure out how to consolidate your power in the group, Arthur commanded. But Leon acted as if he hadn't heard. He wanted to escape these traps. Jasmine was a trap. Director Fenton was a trap. Weren't his parents just another trap that had shackled him since childhood? The only person who had ever treated him with genuine sincerity was Serena, and he had lost her. Leon felt a profound sense of meaninglessness. He went to a bar to drink himself into oblivion, trying to numb the pain and temporarily forget that Serena was gone. His assistant, Miles, came and had a drink with him. Mr. Hawthorne, why are you doing this to yourself? Once Serena leaves, you can just find another, more obedient one. You don't need to be so devoted. The entire group is yours. Women are lining up to throw themselves at you. Leon squinted, staring intently at his assistant. He suddenly felt like he was looking at a stranger. What was Miles saying? He knew how important Serena was to him. But soon, Miles brought over a line of beautiful women, all of them minor internet celebrities. Hello, Mr. Hawthorne, their voices were sweet, and a few were already trying to drape themselves over him. He frantically pushed the women away. Get lost, all of you. Who are you? Stay away from me. But the beauties swarmed around him like flies. Mr. Hawthorne, don't be so cold. We're here to help you unwind. That's right. Whatever's bothering you, you can tell us. Come on, Mr. Hawthorne, let's have a drink. Leon was already drunk, and now someone was forcing another drink down his throat. He felt like he was the one being paid to entertain them. He exploded in anger, yelling at his assistant, "Get all these women out of here. Why aren't you out looking for Serena? What are you doing here?" But as he ranted, the person beside him suddenly transformed into the old butler, Mr. Peters. He thought he was seeing things, until the butler spoke. "Young master, I know you're upset. But back then, when Miss Monroe came into your room, you didn't refuse her either. Isn't that just how men are? I was young once, too. I know what you're thinking. Don't feel guilty. A wandering eye is a man's nature." No matter how drunk he got, Leon never blacked out. A part of his mind always remained sober. He suddenly realized that his assistant and the butler were taking turns feeding him poison. In the past, with Jasmine, it was Miles who had guided him to her, and Mr. Peters who had given him the green light. Even the maids had helped him cover his tracks. Now they were back at it, trying to push more women on him. What were they trying to do? Countless beautiful women swirled around him. The bar was a kaleidoscope of neon lights and thumping bass. Leon felt hot. He loosened his tie. But just then, he saw a camera flash in the corner of his eye. Looking in another direction, he saw several more flashes go off at the same time. He sobered up instantly. You drugged me. You hired the media. You want to completely ruin me." He felt his throat tighten, and all the blood in his body rushed downward. Could it be that what had happened with Jasmine, and the way he had inexplicably passed out on New Year's Eve, was also connected to these two? Your Director Fenton's men, the assistant and the butler both froze, then exchanged a look. They never expected Leon to see through their plan, even in his drunken state. But the assistant quickly put his arm around Leon's shoulder. "Mr. Hawthorne, how could you suspect us? I've been with you for 10 years. Leon shot to his feet and smashed his glass on the floor. The shattering glass and splashing liquor sent the influencers scattering in fear. "Ah, someone's starting a fight?" He felt the camera flashes intensify, as if they had just caught an even bigger story. But he didn't care. He had to get out. If he stayed and was forced to do something to betray Serena again, he would rather die. But the assistant, the butler, and even his driver all moved to block him. "Mr. Hawthorne, don't go. We've got a room ready for you on the second floor. We guarantee a good time." "Yeah, we've got a lot of new things you've never tried before. Don't you want to see?" So it was a trap. Did they think he was a pushover? 10 years of Sanda and 8 years of Muay Thai weren't for nothing. He unleashed a furious punch, followed by a sweeping kick that sent the assistant, the butler, and the driver to the ground. The drug coursing through his veins fueled his rage. He couldn't betray Serena, so he would unleash his fury on them instead. He rained down punches and kicks, venting all his pent-up frustration. He didn't care that the camera flashes had become a solid wall of light, or that dozens of red recording lights were pointed at him. He was fighting for himself and for the betrayed Serena. Their beautiful love had been destroyed by this group of greedy, power-hungry people. And so, when Serena Clearwater, on the other side of the ocean, saw the news, she stared at the blood-soaked scene in shock. Then, she let out a scornful laugh. That day, the media exploded with news of Leon Hawthorne's involvement in a public orgy, where he had gotten into a violent brawl over a woman. The scene was brutal. His carefully crafted image of a graceful, sophisticated gentleman was shattered in an instant. See, all rich people are trash. Leon Hawthorne is no exception. How dirty must he be? Not just a mistress, but he's also hiring escorts. He's probably riddled with diseases. Good thing Serena Clearwater left. Go, girl, live your best life alone. The scandal even made its way to international social media. When Roxy showed Serena the news, it felt like a dispatch from another world. She was living a quiet, leisurely life in a small town on the Mediterranean coast, painting what she loved and selling her art to make a living. Art has no borders. Her traditional paintings were very popular, introducing many foreigners to classical art. She had assumed that after she left Leon, he would continue to live his glamorous life. She never expected him to be exposed for cheating and hiring escorts, to be brought so low. It was obvious he had been set up, but the ignorant masses were still piling on the hate. Sure enough, the next day, news broke that Leon had caused a scene at a board meeting. His family's company was in big trouble. He's been all over the internet lately, like a soap opera. Not a single day of peace, Roxy said. They say because of all the scandals, the board of directors teamed up and removed him as CEO. He's just a junior employee now. Serena pressed the button on her coffee machine. The Hawthorne Group was the empire Arthur Hawthorne worked his whole life to build, and now it's no longer in the family's hands. Roxy glanced at her. Are you satisfied? I am, Serena said with a faint smile. You don't feel even a little bit of sympathy for him? He was the only man you ever loved, after all, Roxy probed. I don't love him anymore. He has nothing to do with me. A calm smile played on Serena's lips. My life has always been one of self-reliance. I live by the principle of owing no one and being owed nothing. Roxy gave her a thumbs up. Badass. But before she could lower her hand, her phone rang. Hello. Is this Miss Rockwell? Roxy looked at the international number. Who is this? It's Leon Hawthorne, the voice on the other end said. Roxy was slightly shocked. She had no idea how he'd got her number. What do you want? I need to see Serena. I'm begging you, please, can you tell me where you are? Leon was crying, his voice choked with sobs. Please, help me. I don't want anything anymore. All I want is Serena and our child. Roxy let out a huff of laughter. It's not that you don't want anything. It's that you have nothing left. Are you looking for Serena now so she can come out and vouch for you? Go online and support her cheating scumbag of a husband. She had seen enough of these high society dramas to know how these men operated. When things were good, it was all about their glory. When things went bad, they expected the woman to take the fall. I know I deserve to die, but I'm not asking her to do anything for me. I just want to make it up to her. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to her. Roxy hung up. What a drama queen, she said, turning to Serena. If you get back together with him, our friendship is over. For your sake, I couldn't possibly get back together with him. You have a very low opinion of me, Serena said, finding the idea genuinely funny. At the same time, seeing Leon like this brought her a deep sense of satisfaction. How could she not laugh at him getting what he deserved? She was no saint. Still, you should change this phone number immediately. Otherwise, he'll be on your doorstep within 2 days. Before the words were even out of her mouth, Roxy had already pulled out the SIM card, snapped it in half, and thrown it down the drain. Whir, the garbage disposal ground the card into dust, and it was washed away into the city's sewer system. There, if he can find us now, I'll be impressed. Leon Hawthorne crouched in the corner of his office, hugging his knees and sobbing. His once trusted assistant, Miles, had never even tried to find Roxy and Serena for him. Now, after finally managing to track down Roxy's overseas number on his own, he found it was no longer in service. Hello. Is this Director Zhao? I need you to look someone up for me, see what country she's in. Director Zhao clicked his tongue. That's a bit tricky. It's against regulations. I can't help you with that. In the past, whenever Leon had asked for a favor, the man had been falling over himself to help. But now that Leon had lost the title of CEO, every step was a struggle. When would he ever see Serena and his child again? At that moment, the new CEO, Fenton, walked in with the HR manager and the disciplinary committee, a formidable entourage at his back. I'm sorry, Mr. Hawthorne, but we're going to have to ask you to vacate this office. Leon wiped his tears and stood up, his voice still tinged with arrogance. My father built this company from scratch. What right do you have to make me leave? Director Fenton sneered. We all know that, but you are morally corrupt. You play with women's emotions. Haven't you seen how viciously you're being attacked online? We're just thinking about the future of the Hawthorne Group. We can't have you as our leader, steering us off course. Enraged, Leon threw a punch, catching Fenton on the chin and leaving him stunned. You bastard, you arranged for Jasmine. Everyone around me was listening to you. I was a cornered beast. How could I have stayed out of trouble? Fenton straightened his clothes and tossed aside his broken glasses. Really? It's all my fault. You really can't take any responsibility, can you? He took a stack of proposals from his assistant and threw them at Leon. Look at this. Back when you used your pursuit of Serena to generate hype for the group, weren't you using these same low-life tactics? If you can use this kind of publicity stunt, why can't I? Leon Hawthorne, you're the pot calling the kettle black. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, Jasmine already showed this to Serena. You're finished. Leon's eyes widened. He had forgotten. He had signed this document himself. It was true that he genuinely liked Serena, but the whole plagiarism lawsuit, the public proposal, the viral marketing campaign, it had all been a massive, orchestrated plan. He put himself in Serena's shoes. Imagine discovering that the one person in the world you could open your heart to had been using you as a money-making tool all along. The feeling would be nothing short of cataclysmic. Leon, what have you done? He shoved Fenton aside and walked out of the room. I quit. The office is yours. He had to find Serena. He would go to the ends of the earth to atone for his sins. Fenton pointed at his back and let out a crazed laugh. Heth, he just gave up his father's life's work that easily? What a fool. Giving up fame and fortune for a woman, is she really worth it? Leon heard him, but he didn't want to argue. Some people go their whole lives without understanding certain truths. He understood now, and it wasn't too late. When he got home, his parents were in the living room, entertaining guests. Leon looked at the room full of people, confused. Come, Leon, have a seat. This is the Miss Sun I mentioned to you last time. Miss Sun, the daughter of the Sun Corporation's chairman? He remembered her family had once approached them about a marriage proposal, but his mother had turned them down, saying their family status wasn't high enough and the girl wasn't pretty enough. Why were they inviting them over for dinner now? Leon met his father's gaze and understood his intentions immediately. The Hawthorne Group was on the brink of collapse. The only way to make a comeback was through a strategic marriage. Was his father really trying to sell him off? Leon's mind was completely consumed with thoughts of Serena. He was tired of the scheming and backstabbing. He would never marry into another family just to revive his own. Dad, I quit. I'm no longer part of the Hawthorne Group. The moment the words left his mouth, his father collapsed. His mother rushed to catch him. Oh, Arthur, Leon, what are you saying, you ungrateful son? The Sun family, sitting nearby, all looked displeased. Miss Sun, in particular, grabbed her bag and stormed out. I told you I wasn't interested in a scumbag like him, but you all insisted I come as a favor. Look at you now, completely humiliated. Miss Sun's parents also stood up, their faces contorted with anger. Your whole family? Sigh, no wonder your daughter-in-law ran away with your grandchild. You're all just trash. In a fit of rage, Mr. Sun flipped the dining table. With a loud crash, plates and glasses shattered on the floor. Arthur Hawthorne, drenched in soup, struggled to catch his breath. He looked at Leon and yelled, You disgraceful son, go after Miss Sun. Now Leon gave a bitter smile, and as if he hadn't heard a word, went back to his room to pack. He couldn't stay in this suffocating place any longer. He had grown up in an oppressive environment, which was why he had always been so rebellious. It wasn't until he met Serena that he knew what it meant to be a person. He decided to go back to the hillside manor. He had an idea, a way to find Serena. He was no longer the glamorous CEO, but he could be a clown to attract attention. He set up a live streaming rig and went on the biggest platform to publicly search for Serena. "Hello everyone, I'm that scumbag, Leon Hawthorne. I've been kicked out of my company and my family. I have nothing. Right now, I'm living a hard life in the hillside manor that belonged to me and Serena. The floor is covered in shattered crystal from the cornerstone I had made for her. I'm not cleaning it up. Good or bad, it's what she left me." He took a few bites of cold takeout. "If any of you see her anywhere in the world, please tell me." He gestured to a pile of cash next to him, $500,000. "All I have left is money. Whoever helps me find Serena, this is all yours." The live stream chat instantly flooded with over 100,000 viewers, all tuning in to watch the former CEO's downfall. Wow, a fallen camel is still bigger than a horse. He still has so much money. Hey handsome, look at me, I can make you happy too. Forget Serena. He's just creating more hype. So disgusting. What a clout chaser. I think I saw her in the Bahamas. I saw Serena Clearwater in France. Information poured in like a flood, too much to sift through and verify. Leon wrote down every lead, contacting fans through private messages. The drama of a CEO chasing after his wife quickly went viral online, giving Leon a glimmer of hope. He spent his days traveling to the locations provided by his fans, live streaming his entire search. Gradually, more and more people started to support him. Some even publicly called for Serena to give in, to come back and live with the rich Leon Hawthorne for the sake of their child. After all, no matter what man she found, the result would be the same. At least Leon was a prodigal son who had seen the error of his ways. When Serena saw these comments, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Someone had even said they saw her in France. Could it be true? If so, it was only a matter of time before Leon found his way there. If she was going to be confronted eventually, she might as well take the initiative and prepare herself. She created a new account on the live streaming platform and left a message for Leon. "I saw Serena Clearwater in the Côte region of France." Then, she sent him a third-person photo of herself by the sea. The moment Leon saw that definitive clue, he burst into tears of joy. It was the most reliable piece of information he had received so far. He immediately grabbed his live streaming equipment and rushed to France. On the plane, he closed his eyes and drifted back to their past. The old Serena was cold, almost expressionless, but he had warmed that block of ice. She had started to care for him, laying out his clothes every day, picking him up from work when it was cold. She had even willingly drank bitter Chinese medicine to regulate her cycle and endured hormone injections at the hospital, all for the sake of conceiving their child. What had he ever done to deserve such selfless devotion from a woman as ethereal as Serena? But he truly wasn't worthy. By the time the plane landed in France, his tears had soaked the neck pillow. He was finally going to see the person he had longed for day and night. He could finally atone for his sins. He started his live stream, and after much searching, arrived at Roxy's residence, Serena's last known location. "Wow, I'm so excited they're finally going to meet. My ship is about to sail again. If a rich guy chased me like that, I wouldn't care if he had 10 mistresses. I'd just pretend I didn't know. Open the door, Serena, forgive him." Leon raised his hand to knock, but then his fingers curled and he timidly lowered it. He bit his lip and said to his viewers, "I've suddenly lost my nerve. I know Serena, she won't accept me back so easily." But the chat was exploding with likes and gifts, encouraging him to knock. "It's okay if she opens the door and doesn't forgive you, we'll beg her online for you. Wow, you're number 8 on the trending list. Mr. Hawthorne has cracked the code of viral fame." Another group of people was just waiting to see him fail. "Knock if Serena Clearwater opens that door, I'll twist my own head off to celebrate. I was one of Professor Clearwater's students. I bet you a person as proud as her would never go back to an ex, especially not to some rotten grass that Jasmine Monroe already chewed on." The flood of comments left Leon in a state of anxious limbo. But just then, the door clicked and opened from the inside. Leon's heart leaped, and he took 2 steps back. A stream of question marks flooded the live stream chat. Could it be that Serena had been waiting for him all along? A fantasy began to bloom in Leon's mind. Maybe Serena herself had been the one to leak such accurate information. Maybe she had already forgiven him and was just giving him a way to save face. After all, he had only made a mistake that every man in the world makes. He swore he would never do it again. However, the person who opened the door was not Serena. Roxy stood there, arms crossed, leaning casually against the doorframe. She was dressed in a striking leather motorcycle jacket and pants. She chewed her gum and asked, Well, you found us." Countless people in the chat asked, "What's going on? Is that Professor Clearwater's best friend? She looks tough, is she going to let him in?" But Roxy simply stepped aside, making way. "Come on in." Leon didn't dare say much, just a quiet, "Thank you." The moment he stepped inside, he began searching the house for any sign of Serena. The house was large, 3 stories high, with a Western-style decor, but he could still see traces of Serena everywhere. Her teacup was still the classical style she preferred. One of her paintings hung on the wall. This brought Leon a sense of comfort, as if he, a fish dying in a polluted stream, had finally returned to the vast, clean ocean that was Serena. But Roxy's next words shattered his hope and brought him crashing back to reality. "Leon Hawthorne, stop looking, she's not here." She's not here, where did she go?" Leon asked urgently. The livestream chat echoed his question. Did she go for a walk? Is she at work? However, Roxy extinguished their last flicker of hope. "She left, specifically to avoid you. She went to another country." "What?" Leon collapsed onto the sofa, his eyes vacant. He had considered this possibility. He had told himself 1,000,000 times not to get his hopes up. But how could he not hold onto some small fantasy when it came to the woman he loved? A crushing sense of loss enveloped him, leaving him speechless. Roxy, on the other hand, looked utterly triumphant. She seemed to relish his suffering. She had seen enough of Serena's dead-hearted despair. Seeing Leon's profound pain finally gave her a taste of vengeance. But it wasn't enough, not nearly enough. What Serena had gone through was 1,000,000 times more painful than this. Leon couldn't be let off so easily. "Leon Hawthorne, give it up. There is absolutely no chance for you and Serena," Roxy declared. Leon sat up straight, his bloodshot eyes fixed on Roxy. "How can you say that? We have a child. That's a bond between us. It can never be broken." This was his last hope. He was immensely grateful that, even at their breaking point, they had a child, an unbreakable tie of kinship. Many netizens in the chat chimed in. "Yeah, the child belongs to both of them. Serena can't be that selfish." Seriously, Serena. Her husband cheats on her and she still gets pregnant. She has no self-respect. Why would she run off pregnant? Now that she has a child, she should forgive him. Even Leon couldn't stomach these comments. What right did they have to criticize Serena? But Roxy just sneered, staring at Leon's phone screen and firing back at the sanctimonious viewers. "A woman should forgive a man just because she has a child. Well then, I hope your dad cheats on your mom 108 times a year, and I hope you remember to tell your mom to forgive him." The chat went silent. Roxy's fighting spirit was legendary. She never held back. Beside her, Leon finally pulled himself together, stood up, and shouldered his bag. "I know she shouldn't forgive me, but please, give me her contact information. I have to find her. I need to take care of her and the child." At this, Roxy's smile grew wider. She flipped over a piece of paper on the table with a sharp snap. "Here, a surprise from Serena." Leon's eyes widened in shock as he stared at the paper. It was a follow-up medical report from a hospital in France for a gynecological exam Serena had undergone. The English text on it read, "No retained products of conception in the uterine cavity. Abortion procedure successful." The air was knocked out of Leon's lungs. Blood rushed to his head, and his brain felt like it was about to explode. His vision went black. He buried his fingers in his hair, pulling at it relentlessly. "Ah, egg? Ah!" He let out an inhuman roar, writhing in agony. Roxy looked at him with disgust. "That's enough. Serena has nothing to do with you anymore. Get out, don't die in my house, it's bad luck." Many in the livestream chat expressed concern for Leon, while some even started cursing Serena. How could she get rid of the baby? It was their child, Mr. Hawthorne. If anything happens to you in France today, Serena and this Roxy woman are murderers. Roxy was furious. She snatched the phone and yelled at the screen. "Since you're all legally illiterate, let me educate you. In our country, a woman has the right to terminate a pregnancy because she is a natural person, a human being. This man just provides some sperm, then goes out and fools around, and thinks he can be a deadbeat dad while Serena goes through a life or death experience to have his child. Has your moral compass been eaten by Leon Hawthorne? As she was yelling, the live stream was shut down by the platform's moderators. Roxy tossed the equipment aside. Security, security, get him out of here. Several large, foreign bodyguards lifted the devastated Leon and threw him out of the house. A crowd of onlookers stared at him, wondering what crime he had committed. He lay on the street until nightfall. At one point, someone mistook him for a beggar and tossed some money at his face. Leon didn't move. He just lay there, staring at the sky, wondering what the point of living was anymore. Serena knew how to punish him. This move was ruthless. It completely shattered his heart, and it would finally free her from his relentless pursuit. But then, Leon started laughing manically. He thought he saw Serena, saw her smiling at him. He reached for her, but she vanished like a mirage. Again and again, he lost himself in this delusion. 3 days later, when Roxy opened the door, Leon was gone. Her security guard told her he had been deported back to his home country, and Serena had been watching Roxy's live stream the entire time. Hey, how's it in the UK? Having fun? Yeah, it's great. Your rooftop here needs some work though. I hired someone to take care of it, and I planted some flowers. Although Roxy was incredibly wealthy, Serena always found ways to repay her kindness beyond money. They were best friends, but friendships between equals thrived on mutual give and take. She couldn't just be a taker. Roxy, a savvy businesswoman, understood her meaning and dropped the pleasantries to talk about Leon. Your ex-husband. It seems like ever since he found out about the baby, he's had a mental breakdown. Serena was silent for a moment, a wave of melancholy washing over her. Oh, I saw. When you make a mistake, you have to face the consequences. He deserves it, Roxy agreed. True. Hopefully, he won't come looking for you again this time. Yeah, leaving him. My only regret is not rejecting him from the start, not marrying him, and not leaving him sooner. Roxy smiled. I'll come visit you in a couple of days. I have a project over there anyway. But a few days later, a headline on the trending news left them both flabbergasted. Leon Hawthorne, self-harm, suicide attempt. Leon, don't do this please. Several people were trying to restrain him, but the strength of a person in a psychotic state was immense. Ordinary people couldn't hold him down. Leon, you still have your mother. Your father is counting on you to make a comeback. How could you? His mother's words were the worst possible thing she could have said. They sent Leon spiraling deeper into his breakdown. Even several bodyguards couldn't control him. He frantically slashed at his own wrist with a knife. Blood gushed out, spraying onto his mother's face. The family doctor quickly applied a tourniquet and prepared to take him to a sterile room to treat the severed artery. Mrs. Hawthorne, please, say no more. His mental state is extremely fragile. It's a miracle he's even lucid. He's not fit to bear any more heavy burdens. The doctor's words filled Alina with regret. Yes, it's all my fault. I wish I could just bash my head against a wall. Her husband, Arthur, stood nearby, shaking his head. What a disgrace to the family. Have you found Serena Clearwater yet? Spare no expense. Bring her back to me. A private consultant standing beside him said, Mr. Hawthorne SR, it's not for lack of trying. But our resources are very limited. Our reach doesn't extend that far. He was right. The Hawthorne family was in decline. They could barely manage their affairs domestically, let alone abroad. And Roxy's global influence was top tier, allowing her to keep Serena completely hidden. However, Mr. Hawthorne SR, I have an idea. Since the young master is not in his right mind anyway, we could find a woman who resembles the young mistress, spend a fortune on plastic surgery, and with the help of makeup, we could create a convincing double. Arthur found the idea absurd. But as absurd as it was, he had no better options. Fine, try it. Get it done. Quickly, about a month later, Leon lay on a bed, so numb from the restraints that he could barely feel them. He had to be fed by others and could only manage a few bites. He sustained his fragile emotional state by listening to old voice messages from Serena and watching videos of her. Suddenly, a hand touched his cheek. A gentle voice, so similar to the one he knew, whispered, Leon, I'm back. Leon's gaze had been vacant, but as he turned his head, he saw Serena's face. His eyes flew open. He scanned the Serena before him from head to toe, not missing a single detail, in disbelief. "Serena, my Serena, you're back?" "Yes, it's me, I'm back. You've gotten so thin. Let me look at you." The woman pulled Leon into an embrace, looking at him with deep affection. She touched the stubble on his chin, unfazed by the somatic tremors racking his body. She had been professionally trained. Her every smile, every gesture was imbued with Serena's cool, distant temperament. She had mastered the very tone that had so enchanted Leon. Serena was truly Leon's panacea. He needed no other treatment. He allowed her to lead him outside to bask in the sun. He sat with her and ate a full meal, quiet and calm. But when she led him to the bed in the hillside manor, memories of his sordid past with Jasmine came flooding back. He suddenly found it strange. Did Serena really not mind anymore? Was she really willing to come back here and live with him? He asked her, a hint of suspicion in his voice. "Serena, with your temperament, how could you possibly be willing to sleep in this bed?" The Serena stiffened. She had forgotten. She shouldn't have been so quick to get into bed with him, but she was too eager. Eager to get pregnant, to replace the real Serena, to live the life of a wealthy socialite forever. For now, she had to fool him. She searched her mental script but couldn't find the right words. She saw Leon's gaze growing stranger, even a little frightening. Just as the Serena was panicking, a voice from the tiny earpiece in her ear gave her the answer. It was a line crafted by a team of psychiatrists, psychologists, and Arthur Hawthorne himself. "Leon, don't say another word. The thought of you and Jasmine makes me sick. Let's get a new bed, a new home. Let's start over, okay?" Although the words were a rebuke, Leon suddenly felt a wave of relief. He was more comfortable when Serena was scolding him. "Okay, I'll have this whole villa torn down and rebuilt. I'm going to restart my design firm tomorrow to earn money for you and our child." Serena let out a silent, deep sigh of relief. She had managed to fool him. But it was clear that deceiving Leon for a lifetime would not be an easy task. The news of Serena's return spread like wildfire online, much to the amusement of the real Serena on the other side of the world. She couldn't believe the Hawthorne family would resort to such tactics to deceive their own son. Of course, it had nothing to do with her. The online criticism wouldn't affect her peaceful life abroad. The fact that Leon was no longer bothering her was a good thing. However, one day, she received a call from an unknown number. "Hello. Who is this?" The person on the other end didn't speak, but Serena could clearly hear a hushed conversation. "It's her. She's still abroad. Looks like the one by Leon Hawthorne's side is a fake." The line went dead. Serena pondered this for a moment, but couldn't figure out who would be so desperate to confirm her whereabouts. Roxy, beside her, shook her head. "I'm afraid Leon's in for more trouble." Serena instantly understood. She and Roxy exchanged a worried glance. "I think I'm in for more trouble," Serena said. "If Leon finds out that woman is a fake, he'll definitely start harassing me again." Sure enough, a few days later, an unwelcome guest showed up at Leon's door. At that moment, the Serena was enjoying being waited on by a dozen servants while Leon was in the kitchen, making her a sweet red date soup. She looked in the mirror and noticed her face needed some maintenance. But Leon was so clingy, she hadn't had time to fly to Korea for touch-ups. It would be disastrous if he found out. Suddenly, a group of men burst in and grabbed her. Leon panicked. "What are you doing?" "Let go of Serena," they were Director Fenton's men. "Leon Hawthorne, long time no see." And from behind them, a woman stepped out, Jasmine. Leon almost didn't recognize her. After being beaten by him and relentlessly attacked online, it wasn't surprising that she'd had plastic surgery. But her presence here was highly unusual. "Jasmine, let Serena go and get out of my house." But Jasmine didn't listen. She grabbed Serena by the hair. Director Fenton shone a bright white light on her face. "See this, Leon? Incisions all over. There are still stitches in her scalp." Jasmine looked at Leon with smug triumph. "Ha ha ha, Leon Hawthorne, you really are crazy. How could you not recognize such an obvious fake?" Leon froze, staring at the Serena. It was true. She was full of flaws. How had he been so lost in his happy delusion that he hadn't noticed? Or had he just been deceiving himself all along? He could recognize the real Serena from a single glance. But now, his beautiful dream had been shattered by Jasmine. He couldn't keep up the charade with this fake any longer. "Get out, all of you. Get out." His body began to tremble uncontrollably. a sign that an episode was imminent. "Why should we get out? What do you think we're here for?" "Boys, get him, his new design firm has been stealing our clients," Director Fenton ordered. In reality, those few small contracts were nothing to a large corporation, but Fenton was afraid Leon would try to take back the group. His men descended on Leon, punching and kicking him. They didn't even spare the fake Serena. Seeing them go after the face that looked so much like his Serena's, Leon shielded her with his own body. But these people, the ones who had led him to this point, who had made him lose Serena, why wouldn't they just leave him alone? Even a murderer gets a quick death. Leon's anger grew and grew. He suddenly pulled a knife from under the bed and lunged at Director Fenton. It was the knife he used to self-harm from time to time. Now it was pointed at someone else. Fenton's blood gushed out, splattering on Jasmine's face. Jasmine, who had been part of the assault, froze. She never thought Leon was capable of murder. The next moment, Leon's knife was pointed at her. Help save, he managed to slash Jasmine, but the wound wasn't severe. However, Leon was a diagnosed psychiatric patient. He would not be held legally responsible for his actions. Jasmine knew that if she died here today, there was no chance Leon would even see the inside of a jail cell. She quickly grabbed someone to use as a shield and ran. One by one, Leon stabbed the remaining men. "Azarg!" Screams echoed behind her. Jasmine's legs turned to jelly, but she didn't look back. She just ran. What did other people's lives have to do with her? But just as she was about to escape the woods, Leon leaped out from behind a large tree. Mercy spare me," Jasmine cried as his hands closed around her neck. His face was contorted into a grotesque smile, his eyes filled with a terrifying hatred. "Jasmine, if it weren't for you, Serena and I would have been so happy." Shachlik blood sprayed into the air. Jasmine's eyes were fixed on Leon's hideous face as he stabbed her again and again, leaving her body riddled with holes. She remembered a vow she had once made: if she ever told Serena about Leon's cheating, she would die a horrible death. The prophecy had come true. She should have never said those words. In the aftermath, Leon was restrained and readmitted to a psychiatric hospital. Director Fenton, Jasmine, and the others all died from their injuries. They had provoked a desperate, mentally ill man. They had gotten what they deserved. Leon, who had been a fixture on the trending news for the past year, had now caused multiple deaths. Arthur Hawthorne finally used this opportunity to return to the Hawthorne Group and clean house. But he was old, and Leon was now a mental patient. The family line had no heir. A few days after retaking the group, Arthur mobilized all of his international subsidiaries to search for Serena. One day, Eleanor finally caught up with her. She knelt at Serena's door. It had just rained in the UK, and Serena knew her mother-in-law suffered from arthritis in the cold. Besides, having an elder kneel to her was considered a curse that would shorten her own life. "Auntie, please get up." But Eleanor refused. "If you don't come back with me, Leon might die." "Serena, for your sake, he's been in a mental hospital, he's killed people. Is there anything you can't forgive him for?" Serena found it laughable. "Auntie, everything he does for himself. Cheating, killing, it's all for him. The one thing he should have done for me was let me go." Eleanor sobbed but wouldn't get up. "Just see him once. Just once, and we'll never bother you again. Help me persuade him to give up, please. If you don't agree, I'll kneel here until I die." Serena let out a heavy sigh. "Fine. But you have to promise that if I go, you will not bother me again." Eleanor's tears turned to a smile. Yes, I promise. I will never trouble you again." Roxy brought a team of burly foreign bodyguards with them, a sight that startled Eleanor. Serena went upstairs and saw Leon, bound in restraints. He looked so haggard, like an empty shell without a soul. But when his gaze refocused on her face, the light that burst forth from his eyes was so bright it terrified her. "Serena, it's really Serena." Leon began to struggle against the restraints. The iron bed frame creaked and groaned, threatening to fall apart. Roxy's bodyguards rushed forward to shield Serena, but she waved them off. "It's okay, he can't get out." Her words instantly calmed him. The emotions of a mentally ill person are unpredictable. One moment he was overjoyed, the next, tears were streaming down his face. "Serena, I'm sorry. I really didn't want to bother you again, but I can't help it." "I'm a terrible person, aren't I?" Serena nodded. "Yes, you are. So can you please stop causing trouble for me?" Leon buried his face in his blanket and cried for a while. In that moment, he was completely lucid. Okay, can you forgive me? Just lie to me. Say you forgive me. I know we can never be together again. Never in his life had Leon been so humble, but in front of Serena, he didn't want to pretend anymore. He had made a fool of himself enough times. The whole world knew he had gone mad for her, but Serena's reply was firm. No. From the very beginning, your pursuit of me was a complete marketing ploy. You used the same tactics on Jasmine. You equated me with her, put us in the same category. You stood on your high horse, arrogantly trampling my dignity and manipulating my fate. Why should I forgive you? Every word was like a nail driving into Leon's heart. He admitted that everything she said was true. But I can change. I can be better. Look, I've already broken myself down. I want to reshape myself into the person you want me to be. You can mold me however you like. Serena let out a cold laugh. I have no such hobbies. Don't project your own desires onto me. Leon fell silent. He seemed to have run out of options. But the next moment, he frantically remembered something and started digging under his mattress. He was bound, making it incredibly difficult. He moved inch by inch, his face contorted in pain. Finally, with great effort, he pulled out a bracelet. It looked familiar to Serena, but it was clearly more perfect than the one she had once owned. It must be Jasmine's bracelet. Serena, look, this is the $8 million bracelet. Please take it as my apology. If you take it, I'll never bother you again. I polished it myself. It's not dirty. It's not dirty at all. He offered the bracelet to her like a precious treasure, but Serena made no move to take it, leaving Leon's hand hovering awkwardly in midair. I've cut ties with the past. Why would I keep something so disgusting? Serena said, her voice flat. Leon froze. He was at a complete loss. His illness flared up. He began to beat his chest, muttering incoherently. Roxy had the bodyguards escort Serena out. No matter how much Leon struggled on the bed, he couldn't touch a single hair on her head. Outside, Eleanor heard the commotion upstairs. She blocked Serena's path, clearly intending to go back on her word. She begged and pleaded, Serena, have pity on me. Look, my hair has turned white from worry this past year. Don't go, stay with him a little longer. How can you be so heartless? Do you want to see a white-haired mother bury her black-haired son? Leon is in this state today all because of you. Eleanor's emotional blackmail drew a crowd of onlookers. Her histrionics crying, shouting, threatening made it seem as if Serena had committed some heinous crime. She had completely forgotten her promise that she would never bother Serena again if she just saw Leon once. But Serena had anticipated this. She was not surprised. Enough of this pathetic, desperate act. The one who's really killing your son is you. Her words stunned Eleanor. Me? What did I do to him? Eleanor demanded. Serena sneered. You've always used me to control him. But the ones who suppressed him from the very beginning, who pushed him to the point where he never wanted to come home, were you. You've always been using me, from the beginning until now. Have you ever once asked about my pain? I was just a tool for you. Now you want to use me to tie down your son again. Stop pretending. She pushed Eleanor aside, left her with those words, and got into Roxy's car. No matter how much Eleanor begged and cried on the ground, she didn't look back. From now on, they had no reason to bother her again. 5 years passed. The autumn wind blew once more, heralding the coming winter. There was no news of Leon. Occasionally, Serena would think of him and wonder if he was still alive. She never remarried or had children. No matter how many men pursued her, she remained unmoved. She was like a ship, sailing adventurously, drifting with the current, never to make port. Her fame grew. She established her own school of painting and enjoyed great success. One day, after a period of fierce north winds, the air was still. She sat lazily in a park, enjoying the sun, letting the last of the fallen leaves settle on her face. As she was about to leave, she noticed an envelope by her side. She looked around, but there was no one nearby. The envelope was addressed to Serena Clearwater. The handwriting was Leon's. Even after so long apart, his script was like a brand seared onto her heart, an indelible mark. She opened the envelope and gently took out the bracelet she had felt inside, placing it to one side. Inside, there was also a divorce certificate and a letter. The letter explained that Leon had now recovered and returned to the Hawthorne Group to fulfill his responsibilities. He said this was the last time he would bother her. The divorce was finalized, and he wished her a life of freedom. He also hoped she would accept the bracelet as a memento of their divorce or sell it for money. Serena knew he must be hiding somewhere nearby, watching, but she didn't get up to look for him. Instead, she put the letter, the divorce certificate, and the bracelet back in the envelope and returned it to its original spot. She stood up silently and walked calmly into the woods, her expression unreadable. The biting wind wrapped around her, blowing her hair and shawl, making her look desolate and lonely. Under a maple tree, Leon watched through the falling leaves as the love of his life walked away, and it was as if he were watching the world inside his own heart wither and die. The world had become a giant snow globe. She was eternally preserved in his dead heart, but he was on the outside, separated by glass, never able to touch her again. The autumn wind never spoke a word, but the regret in his heart would forever sing a song of farewell.